All right, let's dive into something really cool today. We're going way beyond like a typical game review,
Whoa.
this deep dive. It's about a mod for Fallout 4. It's called Fallout London. But this isn't just like some little add-on, this mod. It's so big, so ambitious, it's practically a whole new game. Just imagine, instead of those dusty American wastelands, we're talking post-apocalyptic London. Think like Big Ben in ruins. Buckingham Palace overrun with, well, you'll have to wait and see.
It's pretty amazing what a group of, you know, passionate fans can do. They take this well-loved universe and completely flip the script. Like Fallout in London, who would have thought?
Right, and for those who might not be fluent in gamer, all that, let's break down what a mod actually is. It's short for modification. Basically, it's fan-made content that changes or expands a game. It's like, think of it like tricking out your car. You add those custom parts to make it even cooler. And Fallout, London, it's a perfect example of how mods can push boundaries. It's a totally unique experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. This isn't just like a new coat of paint or a couple of extra items.
Right.
London, it reworks Fallout 4 from the ground up. It's got a brand new map, storyline, factions, creatures, the whole 9 yards, all set in, well, you guessed it, London. And these developers, they really nailed that post-apocalyptic London vibe. But they also kept that classic Fallout feel.
Exactly. You still got those familiar mechanics, the gunplay, the sneaking around, VATS combat, even the perk systems, although with some cool new twists. But what really gets me is how they use this new setting to break free from, like, all that established Fallout lore.
Oh, absolutely. You won't find any super mutants or the Brotherhood of Steel here. Fallout. London. It brings its own factions to the table. It's got its own stories and even a unique take on the Pip-Boy.
Oh yeah, the Pip-Boy. That's right. Instead of the Pip-Boy, you've got the Attaboy.
Yeah.
And it's not just a name change. It's designed to feel, well, British. Think like an old school wartime radio, like something your granddad might have used, but repurposed for, survival in this radioactive London. It's those little touches, like the Attaboy and the music, that really make this mod feel authentic.
The soundtrack is spot on. You'll hear those familiar Fallout radio stations, but with a British spin. Plus, they mixed in some distinctly British tunes that fit the mood perfectly. It's like you're stepping into an alternate reality, where the bombs dropped on London instead of, well, the US.
Yeah, and visually, this mod is stunning. It captures that gloomy post-apocalyptic vibe so well. Like, picture rain-slick streets, those iconic double-decker buses all rusted out, everything you'd expect from Fallout, but with that British feel.
We really went all out on the details. The map is huge, just as big as Fallout 4's Boston. And it's packed with different boroughs, each with its own style. They even included famous landmarks, big and small, painstakingly recreated in their post-apocalyptic state.
So we've got this massive mod. It's basically a whole new Fallout game, set in London. But what about the gameplay itself? What's the story like? Are there any major changes to the mechanics? That's what we're going to get into next.
Let's get into how it actually feels to play, actually running around in this world.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you said, it's built on that solid Fallout 4 foundation. You'll be using VATS to slow things down, line up those shots, getting into firefights, sneaking, crafting gear, the drill, even building up settlements. It's all there. But they've made some interesting tweaks, especially with the perk system.
Yeah, that numbskull trait you mentioned earlier, that one really caught my eye. Sacrificing intelligence to beef up strength, endurance, and luck. Sounds like it could get pretty wild. I can already picture the crazy character builds people will come up with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It opens up a whole new avenue for role-playing. Do you lean into that classic dumb but strong type? Or do you try to find a way to use that lack of intelligence to your advantage? It'll be interesting to see what players cook up. But, while the perk system has some cool new stuff, the weapons themselves seem to stick pretty close to the Fallout formula.
So basically the same old pistols, rifles, shotguns. I was kind of hoping for something a bit more out there, With the setting being London, it seems like a missed opportunity to introduce some more British-style weapons.
Yeah, I get that. There are a few fun additions, like the Dirty Weldy. Imagine a weapon that just launches enemies into the air. Pretty crazy, right? But for those part, you'd be using those traditional guns. Maybe future updates to the mod will bring in some more creative weapons, stuff inspired by London's history and culture.
Fingers crossed, but hey, at least we get to play around with swords and maces. You can't go to London without a good old-fashioned brawl, right?
Right. And it's important to remember that this is a mod, a passion project from a team of fans, what they've achieved with Fallout. London is already pretty incredible.
Definitely. Speaking of achievements, let's talk about the story. From what I've heard, it's one of the best parts of this mod. A fresh start, totally free from all that established Fallout lore.
Exactly. It's a blank slate. You wake up in a lab with no memory, and you have to find this mysterious Mr. Smythe. No predetermined fate, no familiar factions pulling the strings, just a whole lot of mystery in the unknown.
And multiple endings, too. I love games that give you choices with real consequences. Makes you want to play it again and see what happens.
For sure. The choices you make throughout the game can lead to very different outcomes. Shows how dedicated the developers were to making a truly immersive and dynamic experience. But like with any big project, there might be a few bumps in the road.
You're talking about the technical side of things. I've heard that getting this mod up and running can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, it's not as easy as just downloading it and jumping right in. You need all the Fallout 4 DLC, and you have to downgrade to an older version of the game for it to work.
So not exactly plug and play then. That might scare off some people who aren't familiar with modding.
It can be a bit intimidating, for sure.
Yeah.
And even when you get it running, you might run into some stability issues. People have reported crashes, and those long Fallout loading times, well, they're still there. And some players have said they're even longer in Fallout London.
Oof, long loading times are one thing, but crashes that can set you back, that's rough.
Yeah, it can test your patience. And unfortunately, these technical issues, they're made worse by some design choices that can make the experience a bit uneven. Like there's been a lot of talk about the amount of fetch quests and repetitive tasks, especially in the middle of the game.
The classic RPG trap. Go here, fetch that, kill 10 of these. It can get old after a while. But I've also heard that there are some missions that really stand out. Missions that break the mold and offer something unique.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's an intense shootout on a ferry. A ghoul battle that happens during laundry time. Yeah, you heard that right, laundry time. And a dynamic battle for control of Hackney. These missions have unexpected twists and turns. They're way more memorable and engaging than your typical fetch quest.
So a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the missions then. Some of those classic RPG tropes, but also some genuinely creative and exciting encounters. What about the companions? We can't talk about Fallout without mentioning those quirky sidekicks.
Of course, and Fallout. London definitely delivers in that department. They might not reach the same legendary status as like Nick Valentine or Dogmeat, but they're definitely not forgettable.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Who are some of the companions we can meet?
Well, there's Kira. She thinks she's a master thief. Should be fun to have her around. And then there's Churchill. He's a bulldog. I mean, who doesn't love a loyal bulldog by their side in a post-apocalyptic wasteland? And if you prefer something a bit more nimble, there's Archie, a street urchin who's great with lockpick.
A bulldog named Churchill. Sign me up. But it's not just about the companions themselves, right? The voice acting and the overall production quality, that's what really brings these characters to life.
Absolutely. And from what I've gathered, Fallout. London nails it. Players have been praising the voice acting, how professional it sounds, and how polished the whole presentation is. It really adds to the immersion. It makes you feel like you're actually in that world.
That's impressive, especially for a fan-made project. But I've also heard some complaints about unclear objectives and confusing level design in some missions. I can imagine that being frustrating, especially on top of the crashes and long load times.
Yeah, that's another area where the mod falls short. Some players have mentioned poorly explained objectives, or important items that are too easy to miss. It's a shame because these things could have been fixed with more playtesting. But despite those flaws, the general feeling seems to be that Fallout London, for the most part, it feels polished, surprisingly close to something a professional studio would make.
So it's a bit of a double-edged sword then. An incredibly ambitious and impressive mod, but held back by some technical and design issues that can take away from the experience.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme here. A lot of potential,
Yeah.
but some rough edges that need some work.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Fallout London, the sheer size of it, the unique setting, the story, but also those technical hiccups and the design quirks. So for you listening at home, what's the takeaway? Should you try this mod out, even with those potential crashes and confusing quests?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's obvious that this mod is a passion project. Like, it shows just how dedicated and creative the modding community is. If you can get past the technical stuff and those frustrating design moments, you'll find a really unique Fallout experience.
Sounds like it's perfect for those diehard Fallout fans, the ones who are looking for something new, something that breaks away from what we're used to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a chance to explore a different side of Fallout, a side that's not tied to those typical American stories.
Just imagine exploring a ruined Big Ben, searching for supplies in like post-apocalyptic Piccadilly Circus, or fighting off radioactive foxes and badgers in what was once Hyde Park. It's Fallout, but British.
It is. And it makes you think about what this means for the future of modding.
Hmm.
If a group of fans can create something this big and ambitious, imagine what they could do with even more support and resources.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. But let's get back to Fallout London. What's the final verdict? Would you recommend it?
I would, but with some warnings. Be ready for those technical challenges, the crashes, the long loads, the occasional clunky quest. But if you can look past those, you'll be rewarded with a really rich and immersive experience. It brings new life to the Fallout universe.
Yeah, it's your chance to explore post-apocalyptic London with its own factions, its own stories, its own challenges. It's a bold and ambitious project that deserves some praise, even with its flaws.
It really makes you think. If you could pick any city outside of North America for an official Fallout game, where would it be? What stories would you want to see? In the ruins of some familiar but transformed place.
That is a great question, and it shows how powerful Fallout London is. It starts these conversations, and it makes us imagine new possibilities beyond those familiar wastelands. So to everyone listening, we leave you with that challenge. Where would your ideal Fallout adventure be? Let us know what you think and keep the conversation going.
You're really not from these ends, are you? Tube tickets, money, dosh, moolah. What we use for trade round here. It's the standard currency all over London. Over here is the Swan and Mitre, the most ancient pub in the whole of London. Us vagabonds have had our home here for decades. Even through the toughest times. We have some other safe houses, but let's keep them hush for now. Follow me and I'll get you acquainted with our chiefs.
It's not just the loss of men. We're hurting for ammo and other supplies. They keep hitting us like this, they'll win for attrition.
Fucking dogs. We should hit them back, right this minute.
Easy now. Something stupid like that is exactly what they want to provoke. We've got to keep our heads.
Sorry to interrupt, chaps. I brought that newcomer along.
I've got no time for the detritus right now. Nelson, find something useful for this one to do. The rest of you, scram! I need to go think.
Never mind what won't say, sweetie. He's a hard one, but he's been through a lot, and he bears a lot on his shoulders. He's got a big heart, really. The Isle of Dogs Syndicate has hurt us all in different ways. Some have scars you can see, some have scars you don't see. Morton's hurt deep. Has been ever since both his parents died. Poor lad, he's a good boss, he cares a lot for all of us. He just don't always show it so well. I've got to go now, but stick around, sweetie. We're good people when you get to know us.
Boy, newcomer. I think I still hear you breathing over there. Come over here and we'll have a go. Jill Winston said they fished you out some lab down the Pender. If I still had eyes, I'd say you were pulling the wool over him. But Gaunt backed him up, and he's not the fanciful type. Well, pleased to meet you, Wayfarer. My name's Blind Nelson. I'm Sebastian's right-hand man, and I was the same to his father back when he was the boss of the vagabonds. I can't see no more, but I've been round the houses far longer than anyone else here, and my brain still ticks as good as ever. You're not seen a commuter before. There's a bunch of us about. Something to do with radiation and whatnot. I never much cared why. I lost my skin to it back when I was young, and I've stayed like this ever since. You get used to it. There are some what call us ghouls. Cheeky bastards. We keep the order around Bromley. Stop the hooligans, keep businesses protected, manage goods in and out, that sort of thing. We're popular with the locals, which is more than you can say for most gangs around London. Times are hard though. We're at war with the Isle of Dogs and they've got more men and more guns than us. Simple fact is, my radio's broke and I'm lost without it. Sebastian keeps me around for what brains I have, but without my radio I'm deprived of some very necessary intel. I need someone with a pair of eyes and a pair of legs to fix it. You fit the bill, right? Here's the broken radio. Go find Chill Winston and ask him if he has any parts to fix it. Bullet-Tooth Anthony has a workbench for when you got the bits. Bring it back here when it's all working smoothly and you're done. Easy, right?
Hello, mate. Nice to see you again. What can I do you for? I'm Quartermaster. I try to keep supplies topped up, keep things running smoothly. Not easy, you know, but I make sure we get by. Why, we're the loveliest group of lads and lasses you'll find around any part of London. We're not loonies running around pretending to be knights. And we're not posh trash trying to lord it over everyone. We stand up for the little people. We keep our neighborhoods safe. What more could you ask for? They're squared up in Canary Wharf, acting all Ponzi-like. Bunch of clowns if you ask me. But they're also our sworn enemies, and a lot of the cause of our supply shortages. I keep telling the lads, shoot your bullets accurately for a dog's skull, and you'll have more bullets left for more dogs. Everyone's happy then. He's the boss, enough said. Oh, hey? Let's have a butcher's. Looks like he needs a new antenna. I'll have one in a box somewhere, I'm sure. But look, whilst I'm rooting around for that, I've got a job for you. One of my main suppliers is running late with a delivery, and she's never late. I'm worried something's gone wrong. But after the latest attack here, I can't leave my post to see. I want you to nip down to Nadia's on Deptford High Street to check in on things, and get me the package if it's ready. By the time you're back, I'll have the antenna for you.
My mother wanted me to be a farmer, but I get me hands dirty.
Look where you're going. Didn't your mum teach you better?